Let's go. Alright, LAuRIE hails Anderson. Now, maybe I shouldn't be singing about this. But hey, it's the revolution. Revolution needs songs, right, people? People? No? Well, depends on the revolution, I'm guessing, and you're going to say. That is right, Claude says. Well, right now, we're going to have to talk about a new book series now. This is just part 1 of 3 parts, so let's just get this going with. Chains. This is a book about the American Revolution. It's in the eyes of this girl named Isabel. And she's a slave, and she has this sister, younger sister, who's apparently 5, named Ruth. And Ruth, well, Isabel and Ruth's mother died, and they were all sold together to another person, a woman named Madam. We have no idea what her real name is. And then goes ahead, and she's all like, "Call me Madam, or I will smack you. Call me Madam, or I'll smack you. Listen to me forever, or I will smack you." Everything is like, do not have complete obedience equals severe beatings. And it's suddenly the American Revolution happened. Madam is on the king's side. And so Isabel is like, "Oh, yay, I'm on the king's side too, because if the English win, then we'll be free." And realizes, wait, I can't be hired by the king's soldiers because my mistress, her owner, is on the king's side. That sucks. And that happens, and then she's like, "You know what? I think I'll support the revolution." And then this happens, like, the revolution lied! Ooh, ooh. And then she get mad about the Americans, and they're all like, "Americans should die! English rules!" And then she found out that the English do not think that slaves should be freed. And so she's all like, what did I just do? And so she goes ahead and tries to side with the Americans. It works out. And then her mistress, though, she's all like, "Why did you go to the forbidden American cell? You should be punished," and started beating her and threatened to sell her sister. Apparently, before that, Isabel thought her sister was already sold, but no, she was in Charlestown this entire time, being owned by the madam, just not in her possession at the time. And so she goes ahead, and she's all like, "Yeah, I couldn't find a buyer, so I had to loan her because she was so annoying." I wonder what would happen if Ruth wasn't sent away. Next thing that seemed to happen is that Ruth finally gets gets a friend who she called her brother, and his name is basically, no, don't go, please, don't go. Fine, you can go. And his name is Curzon Birmingham. And Curzon is all like, "Hey, I will go ahead, and I'm in a fever." And so he tries to do his best, but they just escape the boat, and that is where Chains end. And in the next part of the story, it will end up for them in a book called Forge. And Forge will have one of the most awesome storylines in the world. At least according to this woman. So what next? I had no idea. I want to read the book. Here we are. Firstly, the Chains book is about the American Revolution, so what do we learn about it? Well, other than the fact about a lot of things about the American Revolution, none of these characters, except apparently 3 of them, are actually real characters, or are they based on actual characters. In fact, they're all just based on documents and lists and letters that were found during the American Revolution. Please do not run away. I need your views. And then it turns out the next thing that seems to happen is that George Washington was tried to be assassinated. Also, he was never actually shown in the book except for that time during the execution of his assassinator. And then what else you can learn is about how people in the loyalist side, the kings, and in the English side seem to fare off with the rebels or the American side, because the Americans were all terrible fighters, but they eventually won out. We know that because then the USA would not exist, and people wouldn't be making USA stupid jokes. USA stupid, that kind of jokes. Next thing that I really have to talk about is the fact that George versus George is basically how the American Revolution played out. We all know George Washington becomes the first president of the United States of America, meaning that he's basically the leader of the rebellion, and the leader of the Loyalists, or the English side, is King George, and the leader of the American side is General George. So it's a fight of George versus George. We also learned that. And last thing I really want to say is that this book can teach us about how life was like in the American Revolution and how people seem to think about it. And that the American Revolution isn't all about people on the good side and the bad side, that the Brits are bad and Americans are good, but that there are both sides to the story of history. This is one more thing that we can learn from this book, that you have to look at both sides of history just to see what's fair. Because if you just judge on a point of view because of bias, then you're going to have a terrible history lesson. And that is the end of today's episode. Unless you want to stick around more, this is where I'm going to end the official thing. So I guess I'll see you guys soon. And stick around more if you want to find out more. See ya! Alright, extra content for those who want to learn more. Here we are. The American Revolution, of course, I already said, isn't all about good people and bad people. In fact, some rebellious people are all like, slavery is good. And we all nowadays think that slavery is a terrible idea. However, both sides thought slavery was good, and the British only used those tactics of freeing slaves just so that they could get support against the Americans. And eventually they didn't even free the slaves who escaped to join them. But the only thing that seemed to work out for the Americans was the fact that, other than the fact that they lost their slaves, well, some of them, they were the ones who eventually won. They basically had the greatest general in the whole time. They had the best president of entire life, although he did cut down a cherry tree, and he probably did lie about it. We have no idea. He probably never cut a cherry tree in his life. But the third thing I really wanted to say is that the USA is still here, and if it wasn't for the American Revolution and Britain, none of us would be here. So we probably have to thank the British for the existence of America, because without them, the world would have been the same. And I have to thank the British for making America. They are technically the fathers of America. Ow! Don't do that. And now, the final thing I'm going to have to say is this. The American Revolution isn't about good sides and bad sides. The only thing this book pretty much teaches me is that history has both sides and you should look at both. It shows this by showing the facts that the British won't accept Isabel into their army, even though they accept the other slaves, and just because her mistress is on the Loyalist side, the British side. And the Americans wouldn't free Isabel because she was a slave, and they had no rights to freedom yet. And that's pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys learned something new today. I'll see you guys soon. Turn out. Peace.